Okay, our topic is capital punishment. This is a beautifully controversial topic. My own thinking has evolved on this, as I used to teach a discussion of it in a philosophy class that I taught 2 or 3 times. Of course, well, I know you don't see this, but this article misses some of the main points, I would say. In America, this topic is a racial topic and an economic topic. The prisons are full of young black males. Is this accidental? Is this because blacks are inherently more criminal than whites? Or is this a result of social discrimination, disadvantage, things like that? The fact is that the prisons are heavily black, and I don't know the statistics about those who pay the death penalty, those who are put to death. That would be interesting. If the majority are black, and perhaps they're not, then that would be interesting. But second is the economic factor. The fact is that a poor person who is caught, let's say, murdering someone, who cannot pay for his own defense, who cannot get the expensive team of lawyers that rich people can, the poor person will be assigned a lawyer by the state. These lawyers are public defenders, kind of. They are poorly paid, they are overworked, they have little access to special treatment, special evidence, and all that. And so the fact is that the poor and the rich live in different value systems, in the different justice systems. This tells strongly against the death penalty. A rich man who commits some capital crime is not very likely to get the death penalty. A poor man who does is. On the other hand, this topic is complicated by the public image. The public is concerned about serial killers, these monsters, these disturbed monsters, monstrous psychopaths who have no conscience apparently, who are just so profoundly cruel and disturbed. And everyone, I think, wants to see them put to death. Now, when Jeffery Dahmer, he is the most famous of the past 15 years, as far as I know, serial killer, who killed lots of boys, young men and boys, and then ate them. When he was finally caught, he was a fairly educated man, and in the end he was not put to death. This disgusted many people. And then it was found a few months later, within a year of his being put into prison, his dead body was found in the prison, stuffed into a toilet. Now, many people were glad or not unhappy about that, and I confess I had the same feeling. What a monster. The idea that these monsters might be rehabilitated by prison is unacceptable. At least the public perception of these, largely through the movies and Hollywood, I admit, presents these people as ineducable. They're not going to change. They're not going to discover God or discover remorse or become citizens, productive citizens. And if they do, most people think they will be acting. It will all be an act. Should they be put to death? In my opinion, yes. If the evidence is overwhelming, yes, they should be put to death, in my opinion. Then reviewing some of this. Another factor emphasized in this little article is the cost. In the American system, it costs a lot to put a person to death. It's a long, time-consuming process. The appeal process takes often at least 10 years and can take longer. So our system, as we say, bends over backwards to accommodate those people who have been found guilty and condemned to death. And this process costs the public a lot of money. And some people have figured that it costs the public less money to keep them alive and feed them in prison than to allow for this appeal process. In my own opinion, the cost issue is a non-issue. It should not be relevant. What should be relevant? Serial killers should be put to death. Special attention has to be paid to the poor before they are put to death, I think, because that is intolerable. Psychological defenses, often the poor cannot afford these, and so forth. It's a very complex issue. Now, one other issue, and that is the deterrent issue. The argument is that the death penalty, if people are put to death for murder or things like that, serious capital crimes, then this will deter others from committing similar crimes. I think everyone would agree that this argument has no value at all. It doesn't deter anyone from committing any crime, certainly not the serious crimes. It might deter people from using drugs, to see that some people are put into jail for 10 years for using a small amount of marijuana. But that's a different issue, although it is a good controversial issue that you might discuss. In any case, in my opinion, the deterrent argument has almost no value. Is that a reason to put people to death? Not at all. But that leaves people with only the retribution argument. That is, why put Jeffrey Dahmer to death, or John Gacy, or Jimmy Lee Gray? Because they're monsters. The public doesn't have much right to assume the moral stance, but it's natural. Some crimes are so horrible, especially repeated, that in my opinion, people are right to have a right to feel disgust, even rage and anger at them, to play God. It's a messy world. To kill these people, in my opinion, is justified. If a person is killed once, and if passions were involved, we take a much closer look and hesitate to use the punishment, especially if the person is poor. But if a serial killer in these dramatic killings, this man who raped and killed a 3-year-old girl, pretty disgusting. But I realize that this creates many gray areas. He raped and killed a 13-year-old girl. 12, 11, 10, 9, 8. Where does one draw lines? It's a messy, messy topic. To do away with the death penalty, though, in my opinion, is wrong. It should exist, but it should be exercised with great caution.